Live every day as if it were the last, because before you know it, time goes past and life's just not that long. Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone. Taste the wind, don't let it blow on by. Sing songs of love.
For the rest of my life, whether I die tomorrow or 30 years from now, I aim never to own a car. I aim never to live in a much larger space than my 114 square foot room, my one-room home. I want always to live below the U.S. poverty level and below the U.S. federal income taxable level. I refuse to pay for U.S. wars and U.S. nuclear bombs. Why would I want much more than I need, while many millions, hundreds of millions worldwide suffer hunger, cold, sickness, with no home? I want always to dance to beautiful, heart-touching music if I am able. I want to keep making new friends, a great variety of friends, while I still treasure my old friends, both living and dead. I want to keep my eyes and my heart open to possibly new lovers. I treasure heart-to-heart conversation. The more deep and real and personal, the better. I love personal questions. I want to forgive myself and others. I want to ask forgiveness when I wrong others. I need and I want many hugs with men and women of all ages, all colors, all sizes. Anybody who sincerely wants for us to hug. I love to sunbathe naked most days, even in winter, if there are no clouds and no wind. I enjoy gardening to grow food and flowers. I aim to eat only healthy, raw plant foods until I die. I want always to speak out publicly against white supremacy and against all injustice and war until my last breath, if I'm conscious and able. Exercise alone is not enough to be healthy. We need to eat only healthy food, preferably raw plant foods. Jim Fixx, that's F-I-X-X, wrote one of the most popular books on exercise called The Complete Book of Running, on bestseller lists for almost 2 years in the late 1970s. And until his mid-30s, Jim Fixx smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day, weighed 220 pounds. But at 35, he stopped smoking, and soon he was running 80 miles a week, including marathons. He lost all his fat, but sadly, he did not change what he ate much. In his book, Fixx quoted a doctor who said any non-smoker fit enough to run a marathon in less than 4 hours will never suffer a fatal heart attack. But Jim Fixx's father had died at 43 from a heart attack. Jim Fixx believed that running daily and not smoking would protect him. But Jim Fix, the nation's leading advocate on the health benefits of running, tragically died of a massive heart attack while running. He was only 52. 3 of his coronary arteries were more than 70% blocked. One was 99% blocked. Exercise is wonderful. Exercise is necessary for health. But we need only healthy food also, just as important as vigorous exercise. Best are raw plant foods, preferably organic. This powerful study involved 3 groups of rats. The first group of rats were fed from birth diets of raw fruits, raw vegetables, raw nuts, raw whole grains. These rats grew into completely healthy specimens, never suffered from any diseases. They grew rapidly, never became fat, reproduced with vigor and enthusiasm, and they had healthy offspring. They were always playful and affectionate. And upon reaching an age equivalent to 80 human years, they were put to death and autopsied. All the organs, glands, tissues appeared in perfect condition with no signs of aging or degeneration. But the second group of rats were fed from birth cooked foods, including white bread, meat, milk, salt, soda, candy, cakes, vitamins, medicines, etc. These rats became fat and were afflicted by the very same diseases that afflict people today: colds, fevers, pneumonia, poor eyesight, cataracts, heart disease, cancer, arthritis. And during the life cycle of this second group, the rats were vicious, nervous, self-destructive. They had to be separated to keep them from killing each other. Their offspring were consistently ill, displayed the same behavior as their parents. And most of the second group died prematurely from diseases or various epidemics which swept through the colony. Autopsies performed on this group showed extensive degeneration in all the organs, the glands, the tissues of their bodies. The third group of rats were fed a diet just like the second group: the white bread, meat, milk, salt, soda, candy, cakes, vitamins, medicines, so on, cooked foods. They were fed that diet like the second group until they reached an equivalent human age of 40 years. They showed the same symptoms of sickness and self-destructive behavior as that second group. But at the end of this time period, these rats in the third group were placed on a strict water fast for several days. And then they were fed the raw diet of the first group: raw fruits, raw vegetables, raw nuts, raw whole grains. And this diet was alternated with periods of fasting to get rid of the shit in their system, to detox them from the crap they had eaten from their birth until equivalent human age of 40 years. And within 1 month, the health and the behavior of this third group of rats changed big time, very big time. They became affectionate, playful, never became sick. Autopsies performed after the equivalent of 80 human years indicated this group had reversed its degenerative tissue damage. We can rejuvenate our bodies and health by changing to eating only raw, living plant foods. Cooked food can taste good. It has some nutrition, but it is slow poison. Cooked food is dead. Never heat raw plant foods over 105 degrees. I stopped eating cooked food. I stopped cooking my food December 12th, 1998. If you're just coming out, gay, bisexual, trans, non-binary, do you know any straight friend you're quite sure will accept your being gay, bisexual, trans, or non-binary? Tell that person if you're just coming out. And if you're living with your parents and you know they would reject you if you tell them who you are sexually, you may need to wait until you move out to tell them. Search for gay, bi, trans, non-binary friends who will accept you for who you are. Search for straight friends who already have out gay, bi, trans, non-binary friends. And when our birth family rejects us for who we are, we need to form a new family while still keeping our heart open if someday some of our birth family open their hearts to us. It can happen, and sometimes does, but don't hold your breath. When I told my friend Patty Quintana in the late 1970s, I am gay, she told me she knew from the first day I met her in 1970 here in Albuquerque. When I told my friend Lupe Lalde in the late 1970s I am gay, he told me he knew from the first day I met him in 1969. I never had sex with any man, never as a boy with boys, until late 1976. So Patty and Lupe and who knows how many more realized that I was gay years before I ever had sex with any male. Often friends know someone is gay or bi or trans or non-binary years before that person knows or fully accepts who he or she is. Some straight, gay, bisexual men and women are able to be openly and honestly, deeply in love with more than one person at the same time. And I'm one of those persons that can be deeply, openly, honestly in love with more than one person at the same time. We teach children to share food. We teach children to share toys. We teach children to share friends. How selfish, how cruel the child who demands that his child friend have no other friend no other playmates. We adults can learn to share our lovers with others. We enjoy a variety of flowers, fruits, vegetables, colors, books, songs. And many of us also enjoy a variety of lovers. A loving parent can have a deep, special bond, B-O-N-D, bond with each one of several children. Can someone be a faithful parent only if he or she has just one child, loves just one child? Ridiculous. I refuse to let any man cage me or fence me in romantically, so I have no right to cage him or fence him in romantically. Every man I've been in love with has taught me, helping me become a wiser, better person. All romantic relationships face hurdles, bumps, conflicts. Why put all our eggs into one basket? Invest our hearts into more than one lover and do it honestly with everyone involved. So if one lover backs out, moves away, dies, we may feel less desperate, less abandoned, less devastated, and more able to cope in our sad loss. I do not own any man, no matter how deeply I'm in love with him. Good romance is not slavery. I cannot make any man fall in love with me. I cannot make any man stay in love with me. And I'm a fool if I try to force him. Hell no to cover-ups, lies, cheating, double standards, insane jealousy. Yes to deep intimacy, sexual pleasure, shared generously with more than one person. The black South African bishop, Desmond Tutu, was a hero of conscience and bravery. For many years, Archbishop Desmond Tutu strongly protested publicly the brutal evil, the white supremacy government that tortured, jailed, murdered many black South Africans. And after democracy finally came in 1994, Archbishop Desmond Tutu worked to bring healing, reconciliation between the former enemies, whites and blacks. Desmond Tutu insisted on the nation. He insisted the nation tell and hear the truth about the massive, bloody, racist horrors whites had committed against blacks for many years. Desmond Tutu fought for equality for all people, both men and women, of all skin colors, beliefs, backgrounds. And as a gay man, I strongly compliment and thank Desmond Tutu, black South African, for championing lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people. And as a humble man, Desmond Tutu wanted no expensive, fancy casket. His plain, simple, small pine casket had rope handles. What an inspiring example for all of us. He died in 2021 at age 90. People all over the world who eat more healthy and live more simply, people not in the modern rat race, these people with lower stress average 2 or 3 shits a day. But people all over the world who eat lots of meat and dairy, who do not exercise enough, who suffer more stress, who eat processed white flour and sugar shit, they average 3 shits a week. Meat and dairy have no fiber for good shitting, none. And that includes, of course, cheese and ice cream. Processed white flour and sugar crap like macaroni, bread, cake, cookies, fry bread, donuts have very little fiber. So in a lifetime of 80 years, the average modern living person has over 60,000 less shits than those people who eat mostly plant foods, who suffer less stress, and who exercise more. Death begins in our colon. Damn constipation, like a partly clogged toilet. The time it takes for food to go from mouth to asshole should be no more than 36 to 48 hours max. And if you want to check yourself, eat some red beets or green peas or sweet corn and check your shit. When did you eat the peas or the sweet corn or the red beets? And if any peas or sweet corn or the red from the red beets comes out more than 48 hours after you ate them, not a good sign. People in the United States have the highest rate on earth of cancer and other disease of the colon. And as I said, death begins in the colon. Also disease of the rectum, the asshole. Millions in the United States have 3 or 4 pounds, even 10 to 25 pounds of shit inside, especially if they're fat. Constipation can cause headaches, digestion problems, backaches, immune problems, lack of energy, hormone problems, finally death. The living simply people who eat more fiber, mainly plant foods, have shits 3 times as heavy as modern living people eating far less fiber. Who lives more wisely? Who lives more healthy? My dad had a colostomy, which is a hole in the side. He wore a bag for his shit because he had bad colon problems. Fortunately, he didn't have cancer, and so they reconnected his colon after a year, and how greatly he appreciated finally being able to shit through his asshole. My granny, my mother's mother, had a colostomy, and she wore a bag for her shit. For a year and a half until she died. She had cancer in her colon. Many adults get rich off poisoning kids' bodies and minds. Many churchgoers are horrified, naturally, when kids kill kids and old people, but most of these churchgoers have no conscience against paying federal income tax to kill kids and old people in other nations, in U.S. wars. And many kids are damned as no good hoodlums for stealing cars and computers, while politicians, corporation presidents, are praised as fabulously successful for stealing billions in natural resources and dirt-cheap labor from other nations. Some kids commit atrocious crimes, and they need to change their ways, no question. But the number one responsibility for kids' crimes is on adults. Sadly, many parents and grandparents who are churchgoers encourage their sons and daughters, their grandchildren, to become U.S. soldiers, to become professional hired killers for this government, to murder on command with no conscience. Kids do not own the gun factories, the gun stores. Kids do not make, sell, and advertise the damn booze. Kids do not manufacture the violent video games. Kids do not make movies glamorizing war, rape, jealousy, guns, booze, cigarettes, revenge, robbery, and money addictions. Kids do not import the heroin and the cocaine from abroad. Kids do not create the TV commercials pushing people to crave expensive crap no one needs and to do anything to get it. No kid should be spanked. No kid should be cursed. No kid should be beaten. No kid should be ignored. No kid should be bruised. Kids do not run Hollywood, McDonald's, Coca-Cola. Kids do not run Coors, Philip Morris, Wall Street. Kids do not run the Pentagon, Congress, the CIA. Kids do not run Baskin-Robbins, Sandia Weapons Lab, Exxon, General Motors, Walmart, or the White House. Imagine if we adults refused to work at any job that harms people and poisons our only home, Mother Earth. Imagine if we devote ourselves every day to creating a world where it's easier for us all to be good and to do the right thing. Imagine you went to a town where everybody always wore cloth covering their ears, even in scorching weather. You never saw anyone with bare ears in public. It was forbidden by law. You could get fined, thrown in jail, laughed at, cursed, beaten up, branded as a pervert if you showed your naked ears in public. Insane. Why are these people ashamed and afraid of seeing bare ears in public? Why are they so hung up about that part of the body? Why this weird taboo? And the same is true in this society about naked penises, testicles, vaginas, asses, female breasts. Why the crazy, sick hang-ups about these precious, pleasurable parts of our bodies? Why is it legal to show rifles and shotguns? Why is it legal to show revolvers and missiles in public, but it is not legal to show naked penises, testicles, vaginas, asses, female breasts in public? Our genitals are not obscene. Naked bodies making love are not obscene. War, racism are obscene. War tax, rape, revenge are obscene. Greed, boxing, grudges are obscene. But because of the sexually uptight society we live in, I aim to be wise, to be totally naked, and to make love where I do not risk getting arrested or freaking people out. In a private home, I'm glad to make love with certain men in the presence of any adult man or woman who treasures watching affectionate, passionate sex, man to man. And when my mother and father were alive, I was often naked as an adult in their presence. And soon after I first had sex with any male in my life at age 31 in 1976, I told my mother. And months later, many months later, she told me she wished she could be a mouse in the corner to watch me have sex with a man. Sadly, that never happened. But I wish now, many years after her death, she had seen me have sex with a man. And I have photos my mother took of me naked as an adult. For many people, television is a plug-in drug. Television can be addicting as heroin. Many television shows are spiritual poison, shallow or violent or both. And many years ago in Illinois, I wasted many precious hours watching violent westerns, shallow comedies, money-mad game shows. I also watched some good programs: Oprah, Phil Donahue, Roots, the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, The Sounder. Why does most TV news concentrate on crimes of individuals, thefts, stabbings, shootings, instead of the much larger crimes of corporations and the U.S. government and governments all over the world? Who pays for the newscasts? Who owns the major networks? Filthy rich corporations closely connected to the U.S. government. Corporations and the U.S. government poison the air, the water, the soil. Corporations and the U.S. government cause millions of birth deformities, cancers, damaged immune systems. Corporations and the U.S. government wage wars, crippling, making homeless, murdering millions of men, women, and kids. Corporations and the U.S. government rob poor multitudes worldwide of their labor, their resources, their land. Do we expect corporations and the U.S. government to tell us the whole, full truth about their massive crimes against humanity? The more television concentrates our fears, our attention on street crime and welfare cheats, the less attention to the much bigger crooks, the corporations and the U.S. government. Corporations receive far more welfare in tax dollars than poor people do. Corporations spend billions of dollars on TV commercials, knowing that commercials convince many viewers to buy their products. So how can Hollywood producers of television and movie glamorized violence claim their programs, their movies, do not influence viewers to beat up, steal, kill, rape, imprison, and to support U.S. wars? Television shortens kids' attention span, can cause learning problems, Television often teaches kids to solve problems by violence. Television causes many kids to have mood swings. Now, if you have a television, I'm glad if you watch my program. But if you get rid of your television, to live more simply, to have more time to do good things, I compliment you. A woman wrote, I was never close to my mother-in-law, Agnes. She always came across as a very religious and morally upright person. She recently died of dementia. It came on so fast that there were things Agnes needed to take care of but was not able to. This woman says, my husband was executor of her estate. So we had to go through all of her things, have them appraised after she died. And one afternoon, my husband discovered a small binder tucked in the back of his mother's lingerie drawer. He looked through it, and to say he was shaken would be an understatement. He let me read it. Apparently, his parents enjoyed wife swapping, and Agnes took notes detailing her activities. How sad, the secrets that people carry because they're afraid of being rejected by family and friends. And so they wear a mask. They pretend. Often the people who seem most religious, most sexually uptight, are living a lie to most people. Many men who yell faggot at others have sex with men, or they sure as hell want to, but they do not have the balls to say so. And some, sadly, are terrified of their hidden desire. Some make fun of, curse, threaten, beat up, even kill gays, lesbians, bisexuals, trans. Many live a double life. And a gay white guy told me years ago in Chicago, a married Chicano picked a fight with him. And later, the two of them were at the same party. And as the night wore on, they got it on, not with fists, but in sex. The married Chicano went home to his wife, returned to the gay white guy for more sex. And the gay white guy asked the married Chicano, if you had these feelings for me, why did you pick a fight with me? And the married Chicano answered honestly, I could not let my friends know. Many, even most men who love sex are bi-curious about sex with men, even if they have never done it with any man. Until any man on earth can freely tell his family, his friends, his work buddies, he is attracted to certain men and enjoys sex with them with no fear, no shame, no guilt. And until any woman on earth can freely tell her family, her friends, her work pals, she is attracted to certain women and enjoys making love with them with no fear, no shame, no guilt. Our struggle for romantic freedom must continue. And if you have friends who insult or attack gays, lesbians, bisexuals, trans people, tell them, you better stop persecuting them, because some people may wonder, why are you barking so loud? Why is this such a big deal to you? What are you running from inside? A man in California wrote, I'm a 67-year-old retired medical doctor who happens to be gay. I felt controlled. I felt trapped by my parents when I was younger. And over the years, I was counseled by 2 psychiatrists, 3 psychotherapists. And even after all that psychiatric help, I still felt great resentment toward my folks. However, after I moved to Los Angeles, I was fortunate enough to find a mentor. And one day my mentor said something that forever cracked my shell of resentment and anger toward my parents. He said, Armand, your parents behaved the way they did because they didn't know any better. And I suddenly realized that both my parents had only 6th grade educations, and had they known better, they probably would have treated me differently. And when I asked my mentor if I should forgive my parents, he said, you got it. You'll have to forgive them every time they come to mind. And I think that's such an important point. If we have family, friends who have deeply hurt us, wounded us in our spirit, and if we want to forgive, it's not usually a one-time thing where I say, well, I forgive them and it's over, it's cured, it's healed. We have to be willing to forgive every time they come to mind. And he says, you know what? It took quite a while, but I persisted, and it paid off. Finally, all my anger, my resentment dissipated. I cried tears of joy for my newfound freedom, my peace of mind. And then I actually began feeling love in my heart toward my parents. Softly, slowly, love heals. From a 67-year-old gay medical doctor in California. In the 1980s, Harold Washington was the first black mayor of Chicago. He was a progressive mayor. And many people, white and black, loved Harold Washington, respected Harold Washington. Harold Washington supported the rights of gay people. He died while he was mayor. And sadly, what he ate made him fat and killed him. And otherwise, Harold Washington might have lived many more years and made more good changes as mayor in Chicago. Booze, cigarettes, and junk food kill far more lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans people than the hate-filled people who murder LGBT people. Booze, cigarettes, junk food kill far more black and brown people than the hate-filled white supremacists who murder black and brown people. I drink no booze. I smoke no cigarettes. I eat no junk food? Why pay those filthy, rich, killing companies to make me sick, to make me die early, often with excruciating conditions? Why should we make them filthy rich as they addict us to their poisons? Why commit slow suicide? Some religious people say when someone dies, God took him. I'm no longer religious, but even if you believe in God, do you believe God caused someone to drive drunk, to crash and die on that particular day? Crazy. Do you believe God caused a long-time heavy smoker to die of lung cancer on that day? Do you believe God caused someone who hogged out on junk food for years to die of cancer, diabetes, heart attack on a certain day? If I jump off the tallest buildings in town, should my friends say, God took him? Many people use God took him to escape taking responsibility, to wake up and to change their ways. They use God as a cop-out, as if they can blame the day of their death on God, who causes the person to die on that day. Crazy stupidity. Absolute bullshit. My father's parents, my grandparents, Lloyd and Anna Schrader, worked hard, very hard, as farmers for many, many years in Illinois. They suffered sicknesses. They suffered the Great Depression. Even after retiring, they had a big garden, and they ran a small restaurant Tuesdays at my parents' cattle auction market. My grandma greatly enjoyed cooking and seeing many people, including me then, eat her delicious food. And some folks came from miles to eat at their small restaurant. And back then, I was still addicted to sugar, meat, cooked food. My grandma had never learned what I have learned about health my past 47 years from hundreds of articles, books, speakers, videos, conversations, my own experiences. My grandpa washed the dishes at the restaurant. In the last years of his life, he and I kissed each other on our lips. As far as I know, I was the only adult male he kissed on the lips. My grandma also was affectionate to me. I wish now I had spent more time with them. They both were good to me. Tragically, a severely abused, disturbed 18-year-old white man, Dale, murdered my grandpa and grandma as they slept in bed, June 25th, 1976. I was 30 years old. Grandpa was 85. Grandma, 82. Why are many people in this society ashamed of the natural smells of underarms, crotch, feet? In Greece and surrounding Balkan countries, folk dancers years ago, maybe still, I don't know, often carried handkerchiefs while dancing. And these handkerchiefs were kept in the male dancer's armpits while not in use. And male dancers handed them to other dancers as an invitation to dance. Natural underarm smell of healthy people can be a wonderful turn-on to people who are not ashamed of their own body's natural smells. A healthy body eating only healthy raw plant foods does not smell bad. In one group in New Guinea, a villager placed his hand in the armpit of someone leaving the village and then sniffed it and rubbed the smell on himself as a friendly parting gesture. The cologne, perfume, and deodorant companies want our money, so they want to convince us we smell bad. Unhealthy people who eat crap and whose bodies are loaded with toxins often will not smell good. Three common artificial sweeteners, aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, cause people to get fat. Artificial sweeteners cause people to get fat. And never eat them if you do not want to get fat. They also cause high blood pressure, higher blood sugar. They're even worse than the slow poison sugar. I eat nothing containing artificial sweeteners. I eat nothing containing added sugar. Would you put dirt in a car's gas tank and expect it to run? Hug away stress. Hugs can lower high blood pressure. Hugs can lower the heart rate. Hugs can increase the love hormone and the feel-good endorphins. People who have strong connections with other people, who receive the most hugs, are less likely to get sick. I love sincere, warm hugs. Loneliness kills. We do not beat the hell out of children. Hitting them beats the hell into them. We need to live a good example. If a father or mother tells kids not to do drugs with their friends, but the father or mother is drinking booze, smoking cigarettes, eating crap, what kind of example is that? We need to practice what we preach, to walk our talk, and when we fail, as we all do, we need to apologize to our kids and to others. I want always to be open to make wise changes in how I live. I do not want to get stuck in ruts. I do not want to keep doing something just because I've always done it that way for many years. I've made many huge changes in my 77 years. I want to stay ready to make more changes until the day I die, if I learn wiser, new ways or old ways to live. And many people, a great variety of people, have taught me. Many people have loved me. Many people have inspired me. I am deeply indebted to all of them. I collect wisdom to live it and to share it with anyone interested. Mrs. Kunjama, a woman in India, was suffering from diabetes. She was overweight. She had occasional breathing troubles for about 12 years. She had to be frequently hospitalized whenever her temperature ran high, every 2 or 3 months. Ayurvedic, homeopathic, other medicines did not help this woman. Her insulin injections for her diabetes helped some, but her sugar in her piss still ran high. Mrs. Kunjama began drinking her piss every time she pissed. She also sipped water. Her nurse massaged Mrs. Kunjama's body with aged piss and helped her to wash herself with lukewarm water. And the first day, Mrs. Kunjama had some diarrhea. After 3 weeks, she had lost weight. She had no breathing troubles. Her family doctor was surprised when he detected no sugar in her piss. She had suffered with diabetes. I have drunk my piss for health every day since November 10th, 1999. I drink 2 cups of my piss every day, usually in the early mornings after I get up around 6. In the early mornings as I exercise free at home, not in some expensive gym. I do 250 push-ups, not all at once, but in sets of about 53, so actually 5 sets of 63 is 265 push-ups, 250 plus crunches in sets, and also 30 chin-ups in sets, and many other exercises. I work to stay healthy until the day I die, I hope. We can never say for sure. I could be struck down today by a car as I walk home, or stabbed, shot, whatever. We can never say for sure. But as much as I'm able, I want to live healthy until the day I die. No one puts a gun to our head and say, you got to eat McDonald's, you got to drink booze, you got to smoke cigarettes. We can choose to live healthy. And I warmly thank Mark, Eddie, Travis for their excellent help dozens of times running the cameras, running the controls for this program. And thanks to all of you watching. If you see me walking on the street or at some event here in Albuquerque, I invite you to talk with me, if you want to your health. My fresh piss. Good night.
Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone. Taste the wind, don't let it blow on by. Sing songs of love, let the music get you high, and when it's said and done, you'll know the sun will shine on. And when it's said and done, you'll know the sun will shine.